Although it's underrated, APAC South is the second most accomplished region behind only North America, being one of 2 regions in the world to have had a team representing them win a LAN. But that very LAN champion Dark Zero, following their back-to-back LAN victories, departed for North America, and many expected the region of APAC South to fall behind. But in terms of overall talent level, one can argue that this upcoming LAN will feature some of the most impressive rosters the region has ever seen.
哎，后面116，他追的，右边1打3，到没上位了，干倒了，丢一个，丢一个，Kill one. One more, on the right.
Swing him. Nice. Stay one.
Cracked. Don't shit fucking players, get the fuck out of my game.
They might be the one next on the list, but Black Hat now forced on down because of the ring. They drop down to get those takedowns, and from their perch, that's the question. 3 squads left, Boys desperate in their fight. Golden Sage is gone. This ring is closing on in. Someone's getting kicked, but Black Hat will still be the champion. All hail the Black Hat.
No, she's getting run out. Push. I get a kill maybe. Nice, bro. ONIC dead. She's getting swung. Go for the swap. Fucking go, Frosty. Let's fucking go, Pushy!
，Today we begin something new, the first of 5 LAN previews that will dive into the background and backstory of each and every LAN qualified team, and today we start with APAC South. As we go through each region, I will be putting each and every team into my own split 2 playoffs tier list comprised of the favorites, contenders, dark horses, and something to prove. But before we jump into the rest of this video, I gotta give a massive shout out to these 3 amazing people who all helped me out a ton when it comes to understanding the backstory of a lot of these teams, and an even bigger shout out to the man, the myth, the legend himself, B-Rad. Truly an amazing person when it comes to the APAC South scene with all the things that he does for the region, and he went above and beyond for the information and the help that he gave me to make this video possible. To start, we will begin with the team who finished 5th place in the region, MDY White.
Truth though fights back. It's MDY White with the advantage out, the Digi-Threat helping out this team in the pitch. Who cares about the smokes? They know what's coming, they know that they can win this, and MDY White look for the executes, and they will be our champion this time around.
Many did not expect this team to make it through to LAN, with other teams in the same area of the leaderboards as them, such as AGL, Tom Young Kung, and Daewoo being right there waiting to strike. But in the regional finals, MDY White did just enough in the end to narrowly jump into that 5th place spot and make it to LAN.
好像是我们好像是第5啊。
1XO第4啊，你们第6。
第4吧，我们打这把，我们不是
你们这把，你们第6。
我们打完这把不应该第4吗？我们现在看一下分好吗？看下分好吗？我们第6吗？
第5 ，BB 第5。
1XO多少
？1XO第4啊，你们进了呀？
我们进了。Nice！ 啊！
nice 对吧？
我操！帅气了，你们进了呀，直播。
哦哟，吓死！哎呦！
操，真的吗？操，我们进了。旭哥，
进了，我操！差点被1XO逆天改命了，我操！
差一点。
啊，还真是打好100就进了呀！
啊，就你们只要比1XO，
好吧，
只要1XO不拉你们4分，你们就进了。
啊，还有前让你分高啊！我操！
剧透吧。
Nice！
拿下！
拿下！
要去办护照了。要先下喽！
我把神吕布叫来和你联动的时候，我说兄弟们要在伦敦喝酒。
说实话，当然我真没想着说这事儿能成，你知道吗？
Now, MDY is an acronym, and when translated means no team wants us. They are a free agent team originating from China, and they are incredibly popular on the Chinese platforms, pulling thousands or even tens of thousands of viewers. Now, you'll notice that they have White after the acronym, and that's because there are actually multiple MDY teams in the region, all comprised of big-time streamers from the same friend group. But MDY White is who we're here for. This roster is comprised of Fei Zhu, Mingyu, and LD. Also, if I pronounced any of those names wrong, forgive me. For all three players, this will be their first ever LAN. Mingyu is the IGL. He was previously a professional Overwatch player and is renowned for his fantastic aim. You'll find him playing as Catalyst. This enables him as the IGL to control micro rotates and defensive setups. LD is a young fragger who recently has been placed on permanent seer duty for the squad. Although this has caused him to sacrifice some of his individual stats and accolades for the betterment of the team, it has shown results for them, and this has been a key reason as to why they've made this LAN push. And Fei Zhu, the captain of the team, is one of the largest Chinese Apex streamers and one of the founders of MDY. He's been around competitive Apex since 2020 on various teams, including one of the original Invictus Gaming rosters. This trio was officially formed in late June of 2022 and then added coach Zhao Lin 2 months later. In APAC South Split 1, they finished in a decent 13th place, but then they ran it back for Split 2 and rocketed up the leaderboard with consistent weekly performances, finishing in the 5th place spot in the region and qualifying for their first ever LAN. MDY White plays a zone playstyle. In their region, they landed at Fragment West on World's Edge and then Stormcatcher and Thunderwatch on Stormpoint. So far, based on scrims, their drop spots are relatively free, only having contests with Fire Beavers and Leave No Witness in specific groups. I would expect some changes to the drop spots though, as having both Stormcatcher and Thunderwatch is difficult to hold, especially as you get into the more competitive lobbies. Also with Fragment, Fire Beavers, if they decide to get aggressive, are not going to want to settle for purely just Frag East, so things could shift around here. In regards to our tier list, they are going to be our first team on the board, and due to their lack of LAN experience, this being their first, we will be placing them in the something to prove tier. Next up, finishing 4th overall in the region, we have the fan favorites, DreamFire.
They're trying to get the ult excels happening on Killerpods and drag this out longer so he can get his Seer ultimate up. But with the extra information that DreamFire have from theirs, it allows them to push, wrap, and destroy Tom Young Kung for the win.
Although going into the regional finals, DreamFire was not locked in for a LAN spot by any means, they were sitting at 4th, and many had confidence in their ability to make it through to LAN, considering the experience that they do have. DreamFire was previously signed to an esports org known as Da Fu, but their contracts were terminated and they are now a free agent team. And this team is comprised of 2 Chinese players and 1 Taiwanese player. They have been to multiple LANs, but notably due to visa issues, they haven't actually been there as a full team. Last LAN in London, the only member present was Roy, meaning the other 2 players were subs. This moved Roy into an IGL role at LAN, despite not actually being the IGL for his main roster, but despite the subs, they actually managed to make the finals lobby, which was incredibly impressive. But first up, the actual IGL of the roster, 3MZ. He has been with DreamFire since the early days of Apex, and along the way captured big performances such as a first place win in the 2022 APAC South Split 1 playoffs. This was a massive victory, as they were the only roster to have defeated Reignite, who later went on to become Dark Zero, in a final in the APAC South region. As stated, this will be his first ever LAN, so many are excited to see him finally get a chance to perform on the big stage. He often plays Seer and uses that to gain information for his squad to inform him of his calls, although according to some Chinese fans, there are a lot of memes about 3MZ that say USA owns Captain America and China owns 3MZ. This is because his teammates would often be winning fights from behind his knockdown shield, which sparked the meme similar to Matafe from Vexed. But of course, it's all in good fun, and with the DreamFire roster finally having their official IGL at LAN, we can only hope to see what heights they can reach now. Next up, we have Pite, one of the most popular Chinese Apex streamers, pulling over 10,000 viewers on each stream on one of the Chinese streaming platforms. He's one of the most mechanically gifted players in the region and arguably the world, with incredible aim. Because of this, he is their main fragger playing as Valkyrie. And finally, the man himself, Roy. This guy needs no introduction as he has quickly captured the hearts of fans from around the world at LAN due to his bravado. Whether it's his fiery moments,
Roy gonna come up with some heat in a minute. I gotta hear this. The word. Here's the thing. The better he does right now, the more he cooks after he dies. Oh my god, he's cooking. Oh my god, he gets a res. He gets a res off. The dude just dies again for free, and then he still almost touches it. Let him cook. Let him cook.
你现在不是跟我说我跟他。不要放电。
Oh shit!
his hilarious antics,
你有朋友，你有朋友哎！哇，躲在车上。有了，那。
or his showmanship, Roy has become one of the faces of the region and a prominent figure in the ALGS. DreamFire as a team are, like most Chinese teams, a rather aggressive one, and that can certainly anger those on the receiving end of some of their pushes. They land at Mill and Countdown in APAC South, but this will be difficult to do on LAN as they're going to have to deal with Dark Zero at Mill and Kansas City Pioneers at both of their POIs. The contest should be interesting, assuming that they continue in the group stages, so stay tuned. When we go over to our tier list, we will be placing them firmly in the Dark Horse category. They've been to multiple LANs with Roy and even made it to the finals lobby of the Split 1 playoffs, but considering the lack of experience with the full trio, I need to see them prove it together before I can consider them a true contender. Next up, Blackhand.
Blackhand, though, wants to go for the altitude advantage. The wraparound is perfect, and they already get 2 for the troubles. This is what Blackhand does best. Perfect angles and the perfect chance to win. That they do. Blackhand will take it all in the end.
Now, I just want to say Blackhand as a roster holds a special place in my heart as these boys represent the great nation of Indonesia, where I briefly lived for a summer. Anyway, in the region, the top 3 teams, starting with Blackhand, truly set themselves apart from the pack, each scoring 130 or more points on the season. But unlike our top 2 teams, Blackhand as a trio are somewhat of a newcomer to the top of APAC South. First off, the org itself was previously invested in the North American Pro League scene before coming over and picking up this APAC South squad just 3 months ago. And the key story behind this roster centers around their IGL Strafing Flame. Strafing Flame was previously the IGL for Iron Blood Gaming. You may recognize them as the team to actually finish first overall in this year's Split 1 in the region. Unfortunately though, they did not carry that momentum with them into LAN, finishing in 34th place. Iron Blood Gaming then dropped Strafing Flame following the LAN, and many were quite shocked considering their big win in the region. Strafing Flame then decides to join his previous team with his friend Hay and joins up-and-coming Australian controller player Bugie. A month later though, Hay announced his retirement and Strafing Flame brings in an absolute APAC South demon in Easy Flash. Easy Flash was previously on the Daewoo United roster that actually qualified for the previous playoffs but wasn't able to make it due to visa issues. But this split, he was 3rd overall in both kills and damage in the region, putting up elite numbers for his new squad. And upon his arrival, this roster was swiftly picked up by Blackhand, and for good reason. Strafing Flame, as I said, is an incredibly experienced IGL on the rise as he had just won the region and gotten his first taste of LAN. You had Bugie, who many APAC South fans have argued is one of the best controller players in the region, and then add in the final chess piece of Easy Flash, who is up there with Roy and Pricey in regards to elite level mechanics in the region, and you can see the picture picture that is forming. Although time was not on their side, it didn't matter as the results started pouring in and they finished firmly in the top 3, basically guaranteeing themselves a LAN spot after 3 straight second place days in a row to start off their split. Just like the previous 2 teams, Blackhand runs the Seer Catalyst Valk composition with Strafing Flame, the IGL on Seer, Bugie on Catalyst, and the playmaker himself, Easy Flash, on Valkyrie. They landed at Fish Farms and Climatizer during their split. Sticking with these POIs throughout LAN would be tough considering that 2 of NA's best in LG and Furia claim them, so Blackhand as of right now are going with a flex drop strategy depending on the lobby. They'll take Survey Camp and Epicenter against groups A and D, but versus group C, they will reclaim their home turf of Climatizer. And then on Storm Point, they will take Fish Farms when it's open, and then Stormcatcher plus Thunderwatch when it's not. In our tier list though, we are going to put them in the Dark Horse category. Although they certainly have the talent to potentially be a contender, we have yet to see what they can do as a team at LAN, and the limited experience that some of the players do have on LAN, such as Strafing Flame, they didn't get very far. But speaking of contenders, now we jump to ONIC Esports.
One team versus one team, I should say. 3v3 actually it is. ONIC once again looking to find themselves a win right here. Up against inside the ring. The first player to go down is Emil. It's opted for a quick trade. Raki and Shady go down as well, but in the end, ONIC will get it done.
ONIC announced their contender status to the world in the previous LAN, being one of 7 teams to officially reach match point eligibility. This roster is comprised of Raki, Fussy, and Shady. Raki is the IGL and has been around the scene for quite some time, having competed since 2020. In the latter part of 2022, he formed the team Boogie Borders with Fussy and Pricey. Fussy is the controller player for this team, and his results speak for themselves. This split, he was 4th in the region in kills and 6th in damage, and he has dominated despite only getting into comp just a year ago. But eventually Pricey goes on and gets picked up by Moist, and Shady joins the team as a replacement. He was previously on ADL Wolves and overall couldn't seem to find the right fit on his previous squads with middling results, but on ONIC he found his home. During their split together, Boogie Borders managed to finish 4th in APAC South, qualifying for the Split 1 playoffs, and right before they were officially signed to ONIC Esports. And they didn't let their new org down with a standout showing, being one of only 7 teams to reach match point eligibility. In their region, they would land at Harvester and then down Beast or Mill, but for LAN, they have claimed Tree and Shipfall. As of right now, they are uncontested for Tree in any groups, but in their own group, they will be dealing with a contest versus Aurora for Shipfall, so that should be an interesting one to watch out for. Their bread and butter is playing zone, but sometimes they like to get wacky like in the regional finals and can change things up. That includes getting crazy with comps like running a fused Caustic Horizon comp. Shout out to their coach Don. Bro is so mysterious he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, but don't be confused, ONIC does have a coach. Anyway, on our tier list, ONIC fits strongly in the contenders category. Having proven themselves at the previous LAN, they should make a strong push in the finals lobby and are a threat to reach match point and challenge for the title. Which brings us to the final team, the kings of the region, Moist Esports.
Just swing! Push your right. 40 on Ken! One shot, watch your team! I got. Let's fucking go!
Your undisputed champions of APAC South in year 3 of the ALGS. Moist
dominance this split in APAC South cannot be understated. Of their 7 match days played, they placed first in 4 of them. The other 3 performances were 3rd, and 5th. But this success is not new for them, as they managed to finish 6th overall in the world at the Split 1 playoffs. This team, of course, is headlined by IGL MT, roller player Waltzy, and M&K Demon Pricey. But following the LAN, they added Coach Draugr to the fold to try and take them to the next level. MT in the past would play Crypto, but if you've seen my Sentinels video, you'll know about the meta changes that have occurred this split. But Moist did not allow that to stop them, as they swapped MT onto Wraith and Valkyrie. Now this is a bit of an old concept, where in the early days of ALGS, your IGL would play on a Wraith or Valk to give them the ability to best scout the surrounding area. With Moist playstyle being the fastest rotating team in the world, MT's ability to scout safely and obtain information for him to be able to pick up the best playable spot is crucial. So this split, they made the swap, and it has reaped rewards for them. Pricey was previously their Watson player, and this split now plays as the Seer. With his strong ability to suggest ideas and relay information, it was a natural fit. But don't underestimate this man's fragging power. I posted on Twitter about his stats from the last LAN and this current split, and wow, they are insane. Across all 5 regions this split, he's the only only player in the world with over 50,000 damage. He also has the highest damage differential in the world and is 6th in kills, leading APAC South in all 3 of those categories. Absolute monster. Anyway, then we go to his fragging partner in crime, who is only 2 kills behind him, Waltzy. Waltzy is the roller player for Moist, and previously he ran Valkyrie, but this split has swapped over to Catalyst. He is the key to this lineup working because, quite frankly, some roller players cannot effectively handle the responsibility of playing a character like Catalyst that controls both defensive setups and micro rotations. But Waltzy is absolutely up to the task and has not seen a dip in his performance whatsoever despite the character change. As I previously said, this is the fastest rotating team in the world, so they play a hard zone playstyle. In APAC South, they claim Lava Siphon and Cascades, the 2 best zone POIs on their respective maps, but on LAN that means dealing with TSM or XSET, so instead they are currently slated to contest with Fnatic and J-Lings at Overlook and then 100 Thieves at Command Center. We've seen Moist do well with worse POIs, so regardless of where they go, they will be a threat. And with that, that makes them the first team to land in our favorites tier on the Split 2 Playoffs tier list. Drop a comment down below which tier you'd put each of these 5 teams in. Also, I'm gonna pin a comment with a link to the tier list so you can make your own. Also, of course, if you enjoy the video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We got the next 4 regions hopefully coming on the way, assuming I can fit them in time. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitter and Twitch. And if you want to find out ways to support me even further, click the link in my description to check out my Patreon.